Morning and welcome to Spokane Business Association's press conference. My name is Larry Stone and I serve as the chair of the board for Spokane Business Association. Today, like every single day in the city of Spokane, one or two people will likely die in our streets of an overdose. Spokane is now highest in the country for the number of overdose deaths per capita. A very sad position for our city, and one that Spokane Business Association finds unacceptable. Some of our elected leadership in the city of Spokane find excuses that homelessness is a national problem. While homelessness is present throughout our country, there is no excuse for the fact that Spokane is allowing open drug use, camping on public property, blocking of sidewalks and roadways, and other criminal activity. Spokane is one of the only cities in the entire country that allows this behavior to occur. Spokane Business Association points to cities comparable to Spokane, such as Boise, Idaho, Wichita, Kansas, Omaha, Nebraska, Nashville, Tennessee. None of these cities allow open drug use or camping on public property as we do in the city of Spokane. Today, Spokane Business Association is officially designating the situation in the city of Spokane a major crisis. SBA has a plan to solve this, and I want to introduce our Spokane Business Association management team to tell you about it. First up is Spokane Business Association President Brad Barnett.
Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you guys for attending. My name is Brad Barnett. I am president of the Spokane Business Association. SBA represents 210 member businesses, and we represent 13,000 voters in the city of Spokane. In November of 2023, Spokane voters went to the polls, overwhelmingly passing Proposition 1. This was a citizen-driven initiative that made it illegal to camp on public property. This legislation was led by many business leaders, some of whom are now on the board of directors for the Spokane Business Association. Prop 1 gave special focus for no camping within 1,000 feet of schools, parks, and daycares in an effort to protect our children. This initiative passed with 75% of voters. Over 50,000 voters voted on this, a clear mandate from the people. After the passage of Prop 1, the city refused to enforce the law. They cited reasons that they legally couldn't. Eventually, the Supreme Court of the United States said the city did have the power to enforce no camping ordinances. Then we go back to April of 2025, the Washington State Supreme Court overturned Prop 1. They did so on a technicality. They said it was administrative, not legislative. So we had two members of our current city council that made the proposal to actually put the will of the people, the language of the people, into law. When that came about, the vote on that was 5-2, which probably sounds very familiar to a lot of people in this room. So not only has the current city council refused to follow the will of the people, the mayor's recent home ordinance stated it's basically tied the police's hands. And you've got the police chief, police captain saying, we can't do our job. The SBA and our members can no longer stand by and allow Spokane to continue this downward trend. Businesses are leaving our community. They're taking their tax dollars to other cities and to other states. And this ineffective policy that we've had for about a decade is one of the factors that has led to the crisis with the budget that we're currently facing in our city. This lack of engagement is telling people from around the country, come to Spokane. Come to Spokane if you want to use drugs on the street. Come to Spokane if you want to camp on public property and our public sidewalks. We have sent a clear message with bad policy. Come to Spokane. We've become the Wild West for the 21st century. Now, we don't want to just point out the problem. We want to talk about real solutions that will work. So to do that, I want to ask Gavin Cooley to come to the stage to address this crisis. Gavin is the Spokane Business Association Director of Strategic Initiatives. He also serves for almost 18 years in the city of Spokane as the Chief Financial Officer. Gavin.
Thank you, Brad, and good morning. To begin, thank you to Dignified Workday for welcoming us into their future home. They do amazing work here in Spokane, providing opportunities to people overcoming barriers and rebuilding their lives. We're standing here in the former Redemption Church, a congregation that was forced to move because of the challenges we continue to see right here and throughout our community. This is Division Street, the gateway into Spokane, where visitors should see a thriving city, a city that cares for its people. Instead, they see a city that's failing. Let's start with the facts. When the City Council passed the Mayor's Home Ordinance camping laws early in July, Spokane Business Association warned that a peer engagement, no enforcement approach simply would not work. Now, 3 months later, the city has confirmed 0 citations, 0 individuals accepting services. We do appreciate the mayor now promising adjustments to those camping laws. But the biggest challenge that we all hope for, the biggest change we all hope for, was clear outcomes, firm dates, and measurable performance standards. All of those are still missing. Without those, it just feels like another bag of fog, leaving us all to wonder when, if ever, this crisis will be resolved. To be sure, this is a crisis, so consider the numbers. According to our annual HUD point-in-time count, unhoused population in Spokane went up nearly 40% this year. According to CDC data, Spokane is one of the highest overdose death rates in America. Kimberly and Hagood recently reported a downtown office vacancy rate of 32%, one of the highest in the nation. City Hall faces a growing $13 million budget deficit as city revenues are struggling to keep up with the expenses, struggling with the crisis that we're in. And finally, a GSI survey, a large survey this year, reported that 82% of citizens are worried about the future of downtown, and they do not trust that the city has any kind of plan that can address homelessness or safety. The cost of inaction and no enforcement in Spokane is too clear. Jobs, businesses, and lives are being lost. And let's be clear, when we talk about enforcement, we mean enforcement of in public spaces of camping, open drug use, and obstruction of entryways and public spaces and streets, sidewalks. Other cities have already shown us the way forward. Spokane's Business Association has spoken to mayors across the country who successfully tackled these same issues. And they all tell us the same thing. Effective enforcement is essential for keeping public spaces safe. And they stress that enforcement is also the first step that moves people into the help they need to rebuild their lives. So that is the context and the foundation for today's event. An event to introduce the 75% leadership pledge, a commitment to enact laws based on the Spokane Business Association's blueprint for legislation. What does our proposed legislation do? First of all, it honors the will of 75% of voters who approved Proposition 1 in 2023. It specifically defines prohibited behaviors: open drug use, unauthorized camping, obstruction, and aggressive or threatening behaviors. And it requires immediate engagement at the time and the place of the violation. And I want to repeat that. It requires immediate engagement at the time and the place of the violation. It then says yes to using that enforcement to guide our unsheltered populations into services whenever possible. Finally, it provides date-certain implementation. The blueprint is not about politics, it's about policy that works. It's also about finally resolving a crisis we're in. Most of all, it's about saving lives, saving our downtown, saving our community. So we're here asking all of our city council candidates, will you settle for a broken status quo that isn't working? It hasn't been working for a long time. Or will you choose to lead us toward change? That's what the 75% pledge is about, a firm commitment by city council candidates to pass legislation needed to make Spokane's public spaces safe again and to save the lives of our most vulnerable populations. And now, It's my honor to welcome Pastor Miles Rohde, the lead pastor of Redeeming Grace Church here in Spokane, whose home was formerly right here in this building. Pastor Rohde.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation, Gavin, to be a part of this. Never thought that this would be the actual last thing I would be a part of down here. But let me just tell you a little bit of our story. We took possession of the building here at the corner of 2nd Division in the summer of 2014, and we were told that there would not be young families that would come with their children in this area because of what the church before us experienced. That was 90% of our church. For 10 years, we were largely a young family church. And at the height of our time here, we had 90 children roaming this room, in the nursery here, and up in the kids' ministry. And our location for us here was central to our mission. We believed that we wanted to welcome everyone to redemption in the Lord Jesus Christ. And we chose this location because it was the most central. We had people coming from all corners of the Inland Northwest to be a part of what the Lord was doing here. We wanted not to see a gospel witness that had been at this corner for nearly 100 years be gone, and so we wanted to be a part of that. And little did we know that any of us would experience the kind of hindrance that we faced over the last now 11 years in ministry here. As a pastor, I'm charged with the care of souls. I'm charged with knowing the flock, leading the flock, feeding the flock, and protecting the flock. But I never thought once that part of that protecting of the flock would be a result of what was going on downtown here, outside our building. Drive-by shooting that took place in June of 2021, a murder that took place just an hour before our Sunday service. The shooting took place during my sermon that I was preaching. That murder across the street happened just a few weeks later. Countless vandalism, criminal homeless element that seemed to have more freedom on our property than we did on ours. And every day coming with the fear of what we would find waiting for us when our church gathered. Hundreds of calls to 911, dozens of those calls being sent to voicemail. First time I'd ever experienced that was a shock. Overdoses on our steps, fentanyl residue and foil everywhere that needed to be cleared up before our children would enter that door that all of us came in. Very fearful that any of these kids would, as kids do, be interested in shiny things. And oftentimes it was at great risk. I never thought that I would miss picking up syringes and needles. While nearly all of the businesses here down in this core have suffered, we were hindered from doing the work that we were called to do. And so to be able to care for our people, for 10 years pastoring this church, we had to leave. We put our building on the market 2.5 years ago. We had an offer from a business in town, a nonprofit organization that was going to work towards treatment of those who were down here. And the mayor's office jumped in and that deal was canceled for us. Our insurance increased by 300%. We constantly had to repair broken windows, graffiti, all the other trash and human waste that was here. What was meant to be a gateway to our beautiful city really turned into a gateway of chaos and crisis. And there were a lot of wonderful things that took place in this building. These walls, not just in the time that we had it, but even the decades before, if these walls could speak, they would tell of lives being changed, marriages being reconciled and redeemed, and lives being transformed by the power of the gospel. But it's turned more into crisis down here. We did try for 10 years to make an impact on the community that was down here, to those who were in need, recognizing that every single person is an image bearer of God and worthy of dignity, honor, and respect. But over time, we were forced out. The city has lost, at least for now, a gospel presence that had been here for over 100 years. And we're saddened by that. I used to tell our church family as we were just striving for unity in mission and purpose that we will always find ourselves at the corner of division. I didn't know that would become a metaphor for what has taken place. But I do pray that there will be continued gospel witness here, and the work that seems to be taking place, that Lisa's envisioned for this building to be able to have a greater impact. And we were sad to leave, but we were grateful that we still continue as we are merged with another church in North Spokane and continuing the message that we always had here of God's redeeming grace. And so thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to tell a little bit of our story.
Thank you, Pastor, for your message, and thank you to the SBA management team. So at this point, I want the public to know that we did invite all 6 candidates. There's 3 positions open on the City Council, 6 candidates, and we invited all of them in advance for this meeting. And we provided them all with the 75% pledge blueprint that Gavin Cooley and our team has put together. And at this point, we would like to hear from the candidates, because we know that the media has other things to report, and all of you have, your time is valuable. I'm asking that it be no longer than 2 minutes, and I should warn you that our president, Brad Barnett, will be timing you. Well, that will allow a little bit of time for questions and answers from the media. So the first person on my list is Sarah Dixit, candidate in District 1. Unfortunately, she is not here. We didn't even receive a reply from her, as I understand it. We would love to have her here. She was also invited to the SBA dinner, as were the other 2 that are missing, where we had 700 business people representing 13,000 employees in the city, and none of those chose to come there. And they were notified in July. But at this point then, I would go to the other candidate in District 1 and also a sitting City Council member, Jonathan Bingle, for a 2-minute talk.
Well, as a former pastor and elected official, brevity is not something I'm great at, but I do appreciate everybody being here. I think, as we all can see, I mean, if you walk down Pacific right now, you're going to see, the result of our current policies, and it is glaringly evident that we need something to be different. As a representative of this community, I think it's very important to represent the will of the people, and the people overwhelmingly spoke and said, we want something to be different, and this is what we want. And that is the pledge that I make to the City of Spokane, is I will continue to represent your voice in City Hall, and I will continue to represent you on this particular issue, finding ways that we can actually have real engagement and enforcement, because you need both to be effective in this space, and you can't go too heavy one way or the other. You need both. And so my pledge is to support the measure that's coming forward here. It's incredibly important that we do something different if we want to save lives, if we want to protect our city, if we want to protect our citizens, create a space that is ripe for business investment. We have to step forward in the way that is being asked of us, and the way that the people are asking us to do so, and that's what I intend to do. So thank you all for being here.
So we just looked at District 1, which is the northwest district of the city. Now we're going to look at the District 2, which is the South Hill and the East Central district part of our city. Once again, we invited both candidates, and Kate Tellis would be first up, but she has not responded either, and she also didn't respond to our SBA dinner back earlier in September. So at this point, I would ask the other candidate, Alejandro Barrientos, to come forward and state his position on our blueprint.
First of all, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me here. My name is Alejandro Barrientos. I'm running for District 2. I've read and I support the initiative the SBA has brought forward. From the very start of my campaign, I've been in favor of implementing Prop 1. To restore the trust in local government, we need to honor the will of the people. 75% of the people voted for Prop 1. It was a clear mandate. What were they asking for? A simple, common sense solution. This initiative says no to camping, no to open drug use near schools, parks, or child care centers. But it also pairs with services that help people get off the street and give them a path forward. To me, this is not extreme. It's a compassionate order. I've seen with my own eyes how the low-income neighborhoods in our district are affected by camping, open drug use, and criminal activities. I'm also disappointed that my opponent has publicly opposed to what every precinct in our district voted for. We have a clear difference of policy, and every citizen in our district deserves to know where I stand. As a city council member, I will work to bring back Prop 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandro. And that takes us to our final district, which is District 3, the northwest portion. Did I say northwest? I meant to say northeast, the northwest portion of our city. And we invited both candidates again. One is Councilmember Zach Sapone, and again, we did not hear from him. We actually made several calls to him as we did to others. But the other candidate for District 3 is here, Chris Savage. So Chris, you have the floor.
Well, thank you all for being here. As you can hear from the previous speakers, we definitely need Prop 1. We need to reinstate Prop 1 because the home ordinance that was authored by my opponent has been an utter and complete failure. No citation's been done. No outreach has been taken by these individuals. We can see that these ordinances are not working. We need to follow the will of the people and make sure that their voice is being heard. With 75% of the people overwhelmingly voting for Prop 1, that is what they want. We need to do what they are requesting because this is important and vital to our city. We are fighting for the soul of our city right now. That is why you see a 32% vacancy rate downtown, which at the beginning of my campaign was at a 28, 29%. We've raised 3%. That is not good. We need to reinstate Prop 1, and that is why I will commit to SBA's 75% leadership blueprint, backed by 75% of the voters, which is a camping ban, stopping opium drug use, and restoring safe public spaces. That is what is needed right now in our city so we can have a clean, vibrant city that our families, our children, everyone can experience and belong in, because that's what happened here in Spokane, is we all belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. At this point, we'll open it up for questions from the media for our candidates or from our management. Yes, sir.
This could be a question for any of the candidates, but I was wondering just if you had a chance to take a look at some of the mayor's proposed adjustments to the home initiative, and whether or not you think that's something that could work in tandem with the provisions of Prop 1.
I'll say I just received it this morning, haven't been able to process through it fully, and so I couldn't say one way or the other, but I'll have an answer for you later today.
I have not seen it also, but I will take a look at it and see what policies are good for this.
I've looked into it, and it looks like there is some more enforcement that is coming, which we definitely need, but it seems to still be lacking, and I'm waiting to see if it actually will be implemented, because right now, in the past 3 months, again, 0 citations, 0 enforcement, so I think it's very lacking, and we're waiting to be seen. So I have very wariness on it, but we'll see what happens.
Great. Other questions? Yes.
Larry, I've got a question for you. Between Prop 1 to today, how much of your own money have you invested in this strategy?
So I don't know the answer to that specifically. I was born and raised in Spokane. I absolutely love Spokane. I'm in a financial position that I could live anywhere. I choose to live in Spokane. And I have invested hugely in Spokane. Right now I've just donated $200,000 to the city for addition to the park, Spokane Riverfront Park. I've loved giving money to the city, and I've put money into every election for probably 30 years. So I'm a substantial person in it because I love my city. I don't have anything to gain from it that I'm aware of. I'm in the manufacturing and development business. Thank you for asking. So other questions? Hearing none, I want to thank our board of directors, some members of the public, security, the media, and the candidates that came. We really appreciate it. We want to do great things for Spokane, and we know that we can do it. Thank you, everybody.